Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today we're going to be cracking open one of Texas's most chilling unsolved mysteries, the Icebox murders. Are you ready to dive in?
I'm ready.
Okay, good. We've got excerpts here from the Icebox murders, a deep dive into Texas's most chilling unsolved crime. And trust me, you're going to want to hear this. It's Father's Day 1965 in Houston, Texas.
Okay.
A seemingly ordinary couple, Fred and Edwina Rogers, are about to become the center of a mystery that baffles investigators even today. And to unpack all this, we've got an expert in, well, deciphering complex cases, someone who can help us separate fact from speculation. Welcome.
Thanks for having me. This case is truly a puzzle.
It is. So many twists and turns.
Yeah.
It all starts with a concerned nephew asking police to check on his elderly aunt and uncle. They hadn't heard from the couple in days, which was unusual. And get this. When police arrive at the Rogers house, everything seems normal. No forced entry, no signs of a struggle. But then they open the refrigerator. And, well, let's just say they didn't find leftovers.
No, they didn't. What they found was a scene straight out of a nightmare. The dismembered bodies of Fred and Edwina Rogers, neatly wrapped in butcher paper, stacked inside the fridge.
Oh my gosh.
But here's where it gets even more disturbing. Their heads, hands, and internal organs were missing. Gone without a trace.
Okay, so we've got a gruesome discovery, a missing son who immediately becomes a suspect, and a house that's eerily clean. What do you make of that? I mean, it's like the killer was trying to erase any evidence, but why leave the bodies in the fridge?
It's a perplexing detail, isn't it? The meticulous cleanup of the house contrasts sharply with the brutal nature of the crime, and then the seemingly haphazard disposal of the bodies. Some experts suggest this might be a sign of an amateur, someone overwhelmed by the magnitude of their actions, but there's also the possibility that it was a deliberate attempt at misdirection, a way to confuse investigators.
So playing mind games with the police, that's creepy.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Charles Rogers, the missing son. We know he was a recluse, communicating with his parents only through notes slipped under the door. What else can you tell us about him?
Charles was an enigma, even to those who knew him. Brilliant, fluent in multiple languages. A former Navy pilot and a seismologist who abruptly quit his job at Shell Oil years earlier.
Wow.
Some say he was a genius, others a ticking time bomb.
That's quite the resume, especially for someone who chose to isolate themselves. It's hard to reconcile the image of a brilliant scientist with the brutality of this crime. What kind of insights can we glean from the crime scene itself? The text mentioned a bloody trail leading from the bedroom to the kitchen.
Right, well, that bloody trail is crucial. It suggests a struggle took place, likely in the bedroom where Fred Rogers was found bludgeoned to death with a hammer. Edwina, on the other hand, was shot, execution style, in the head. The fact that different methods were used on each victim is interesting. It could point to different motives, or perhaps multiple assailants.
Multiple assailants. Now, that's a thought. So we have this brutal crime scene, a missing son who's the prime suspect, and a whole lot of unanswered questions. Where do we even begin to unravel this?
Well, let's consider the various theories that have been put forward over the years. One theory suggests that Charles, driven by years of potential abuse or isolation, snapped and committed the gruesome act before meticulously planning his escape.
A classic case of a son driven to the edge. But what about his intelligence, his skills? Could he have been involved in something bigger, something that explains his disappearance so completely? The text hints at a possible CIA connection, which sounds like something straight out of a spy movie.
The CIA theory, while intriguing, rests on a lot of speculation. Some believe Charles's intelligence and background could have made him a valuable asset to intelligence agencies during the Cold War. His disappearance could be seen as a way to assume a new identity and disappear into the shadows.
Like a real-life Jason Bourne. But if he was some super-secret agent, why kill his parents? It doesn't really add up.
Exactly. And that's why some researchers propose a darker side to this theory. They believe Charles's potential involvement in covert operations might have made him a liability. Perhaps he knew too much, and silencing him became a necessity.
Whoa, so you're saying he might have been killed by the very people he was working for? That takes us deep into conspiracy theory territory. All right, let's take a step back and try to make sense of all this. We have these three main theories. A son who snaps, a secret agent who vanishes, and a government conspiracy that silences a man who knows too much. Which one seems the most likely to you?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And unfortunately, we just don't have enough concrete evidence to definitively say. What we do know is that despite decades passing, the Icebox murders remain an open case. Charles was officially declared dead in 1975, but that declaration doesn't provide any real answers.
It's like a puzzle with missing pieces.
It is.
We have the outline, The gruesome details.
Mm.
But the heart of it, the why and the who, those pieces remain elusive.
A case designed to keep us guessing. The more you dig, the more questions you uncover. We're left with this image of this highly intelligent man who could just disappear without a trace. Yet the crime scene itself seems almost amateurish.
Right, like you said. That meticulous cleaning clashes with the brutality of the murders and the way the bodies were left. It's almost like two different stories happening at the same time.
Precisely. And that discrepancy is one of the reasons why this case has fascinated people for so long. It challenges our assumptions about how a crime like this should unfold. We expect a certain level of sophistication from a killer with Charles's background. But the evidence paints a much more muddled picture.
Yeah, it's like we're trying to fit square pieces into a round hole. We have these seemingly contradictory elements that just don't quite mesh. One minute we're picturing a brilliant mastermind orchestrating the perfect crime. The next we're wondering if this was just a crime of passion got horribly wrong.
And that's where the analysis of the crime scene becomes so crucial. The text we're working with highlights the specific injury sustained by Fred and Edwina. Fred was bludgeoned, suggesting a more impulsive, perhaps even enraged attack. Edwina, however, was shot with a single bullet to the head, indicating a more calculated, perhaps even merciful act.
So two different methods, potentially point to two different emotional states. That really complicates the idea of a meticulously planned murder, doesn't it? Makes you wonder if there was more than one person involved, or if the killer's emotional state shifted dramatically during the crime.
Exactly. These are the kinds of nuances that investigators would have been grappling with back then. And without Charles to shed light on what happened, they were left trying to piece together a puzzle with like half the pieces missing.
Speaking of Charles, the text also delves into his peculiar relationship with his parents. He was a recluse, living in his childhood room, communicating through notes. Was there anything in his past, any red flags, that could have hinted at such violence?
That's the question that investigators pored over for years. They interviewed neighbors, friends, colleagues, anyone who might have known Charles. But no one seemed to have a complete picture of him. He was a ghost even to those who were closest to him.
That's got to be frustrating for investigators. Like trying to catch smoke with your bare hands. What about his work as a seismologist? Could that have played a role in the crime or his disappearance?
Now that's where it gets really interesting. Remember, his background wasn't just in any science. It was in seismology, the study of earthquakes and ground vibrations. This knowledge could have equipped him with a unique understanding of how to dispose of evidence, perhaps even using his knowledge of seismic activity to conceal something.
Okay, so maybe he wasn't just a brainy recluse. Maybe he had skills and knowledge that we're only just beginning to understand the implications of. But still we're back to the question of motive. Why? Why would a brilliant scientist, even one who's isolated, resort to such brutality?
That's the heart of this mystery, isn't it? The why continues to elude us. Some have speculated that Charles may have suffered from an undiagnosed mental illness, something that could have manifested in this extreme violence. Others point to potential resentment towards his parents, perhaps feeling trapped and stifled by their presence in his life.
It's tragic to think that a mind capable of such brilliance could be tormented by inner demons or resentment to such a degree. And then there's the whole CIA angle. It's like stepping into a John le Carré novel.
The CIA theory, while tantalizing, requires us to consider the historical context. This was 1965, the height of the Cold War. The world was gripped by paranoia, and the idea of deep cover agents operating within seemingly ordinary society was not far-fetched.
So you're saying it's not impossible that Charles Rogers, this reclusive scientist, could have been leading a double life as a spy?
It's a possibility we can't completely dismiss. The fact that he vanished so completely, leaving no trace, no financial records, no contact with anyone, it's all very consistent with someone who has been trained to disappear.
It's like he was erased from existence. But if he was a spy, what secrets could he have possessed that would warrant such drastic measures? And why eliminate his parents?
That's where the theory takes a darker turn. Some researchers believe that Charles's potential involvement in covert operations might have made him a liability, a risk to national security. Perhaps he knew too much, witnessed something he shouldn't have, or simply became too unpredictable. In that world, silencing him, even eliminating any potential ties that could lead back to him, might have been deemed necessary.
That's a chilling thought. To think that someone could be considered so dangerous, so expendable, that their life and the lives of those connected to them could be snuffed out just to protect secrets. It's a reminder that the world of espionage is often shrouded in darkness, and operates under a different set of rules.
Exactly. And those rules, that world, are often beyond our comprehension. We're left to grapple with the possibility that there are forces at play, motives at work that we may never fully understand.
It's like peering into the abyss, trying to make sense of something that defies logic and reason. But even if the CIA theory holds water, it still doesn't fully explain the brutality of the crime scene, the missing body parts, the meticulous cleanup. It all suggests a level of personal involvement that goes beyond simply silencing a loose end.
Absolutely, and that's why this case continues to fascinate and frustrate in equal measure. We have these tantalizing clues that point in different directions, these threads of a story that never quite weave together into a complete tapestry.
It's like we're left with a puzzle with multiple solutions, none of which quite fit perfectly. But, even with all the theories and speculation, there's one piece of evidence that keeps nagging at me. That bloody trail.
Ah, yes. The bloody trail. That silent witness to the struggle that took place. It's the one detail that seems to defy the image of a perfectly planned and executed crime. It's almost like a cry for help, a desperate attempt to leave a message behind.
It's like the killer was saying, look, I tried to clean up. I tried to make it all disappear, but this blood, this is the truth. This is what happened.
A haunting thought, isn't it? That even in the midst of such calculated brutality, there might have been a flicker of humanity. A desperate attempt to break free from the darkness.
It makes you wonder if there's more to this story than meets the eye. Perhaps there's a hidden narrative, a secret that's been buried beneath the layers of speculation and intrigue.
And that's the beauty of Unsolved Mysteries. They invite us to delve deeper, to challenge our assumptions, and to consider the possibility that the truth might be far more complex and nuanced than we initially imagined.
We've explored the chilling facts, the missing son, and the web of theories surrounding the Icebox murders. It's a puzzle with so many missing pieces. But perhaps it's the very absence of those pieces that makes this case so enduring, so captivating.
It's a reminder that sometimes the most unsettling mysteries are those that refuse to be solved, leaving us forever questioning the darkness that lies hidden within the human heart.
We've spent this deep dive wading through the murky waters of the Icebox murders, and honestly, I'm feeling a little like we've just scratched the surface.
It's a case that pulls you in, makes you think you're getting close to some kind of understanding, and then bam, another dead end. Frustrating, but incredibly compelling.
Totally.
Right.
I mean, we've got a seemingly straightforward theory of a sun snapping, a compelling but shadowy CIA connection, and then a crime scene that seems to contradict itself at every turn. It's like those optical illusions where you can see two different images depending on how you look at it.
It's that duality that I find so fascinating. The Icebox murders aren't just about a horrific crime. They're about the clash between order and chaos, between the rational and the irrational. On the one hand, you have this meticulous cleanup, the methodical removal of body parts. This deliberate attempt to erase any trace of the crime suggests a level of control, of premeditation, that's almost chilling.
Right, it's like the killer was trying to create a narrative, like a specific image of what happened, or rather what didn't happen. But then you have that bloody trail, the violence of the attacks, the sheer brutality of it all. Those elements scream a loss of control, like a descent into something primal and chaotic.
And that dissonance, that tension between these two opposing forces, it's what makes this case so unsettling. It challenges our neat little boxes of good and evil, of reason and madness, forces us to confront the possibility that both can exist within the same individual, even within the same act.
It's a reminder that the human psyche is a complex and often contradictory landscape. We like to think we understand the motivations behind violence, that there's always a clear-cut reason, a predictable pattern. But cases like this, they just defy easy explanations.
Absolutely. And I think that's why the Icebox murders continue to resonate with people even decades later. It's not just about the gruesome details or the whodunit aspect. It's about the questions it raises about the nature of humanity, about the darkness that lurks beneath the surface of even the most seemingly ordinary lives.
Makes you wonder, what secrets are hidden behind the closed doors of our neighbors' homes? What thoughts, what impulses lie dormant within each of us, just waiting for the right or wrong set of circumstances to be unleashed?
Chilling thought, isn't it? But also a necessary one. The Icebox murders serve as a stark reminder that evil doesn't always announce itself with a flourish. It can creep in slowly, insidiously, taking root in the fertile ground of isolation, resentment, or perhaps something even darker that we may never fully comprehend.
Like a crack in the foundation of our perceived reality. A glimpse into the abyss that exists just beyond the edges of our comfortable world.
And sometimes the most unsettling truth of all is that the abyss might be staring back at us.
Man, that's heavy stuff. As much as this case disturbs us, it also fascinates us. Why do you think that is? What is it about these unsolved mysteries that draws us in, that makes us want to keep searching for answers even when those answers might be too terrible to contemplate?
I think it's the inherent human need to make sense of the world around us. We crave order. We seek patterns. We want to believe that there's a reason for everything, even the most senseless acts of violence. Unsolved mysteries, well, they disrupt that need for order. They present us with a puzzle that refuses to be solved, a question mark that hangs heavy in the air. And so we keep searching, we keep theorizing, we keep hoping that someday, somehow, the missing pieces will fall into place.
It's like we're driven by a deep-seated need for closure, for resolution. We want to believe that justice, even if it's delayed, will ultimately prevail. But sometimes, the most unsettling truth of all is that some mysteries are just destined to remain unsolved.
And perhaps that's the most profound lesson that the Icebox murders have to teach us, that some truths are just too elusive, too deeply buried in the past to ever be fully unearthed. We're left to grapple with the ambiguity, to acknowledge the limits of our understanding, to accept the possibility that some questions simply don't have answers.
It's a humbling realization, isn't it? To admit that despite our best efforts, despite all our advances in science and technology, there are still forces at work in the universe that we may never fully comprehend.
Exactly. And that's both terrifying and exhilarating. Terrifying because it reminds us of how little we truly know, how vulnerable we are to the unknown. But exhilarating because it leaves open the possibility for wonder, for discovery, for the realization that even in our modern world, there are still mysteries to be explored, stories to be told, and truths to be sought, even if those truths remain forever elusive.
Well said. The Icebox murders may be a cold case, but it's a case that burns brightly in our collective imagination. It's a story that reminds us that the past is never truly past, that the echoes of tragedy can reverberate through time, and that some secrets, no matter how deeply buried, have a way of clawing their way back to the surface.
It's a case that challenges us to think critically, to question our assumptions, and to confront the darkness that lies within us all. And perhaps, in the end, that's the greatest legacy of the Icebox murders. A reminder that even in the face of the unimaginable, the human spirit endures, driven by an insatiable curiosity and a relentless pursuit of truth, no matter how elusive it may be.
So there you have it, folks, a deep dive into one of Texas's most chilling, unsolved mysteries. We may never know the full truth of what happened on that fateful Father's Day in 1965. But we hope this deep dive has given you a glimpse into the complexities of the case and the enduring fascination it holds for so many. If you're hungry for more, we encourage you to check out the Icebox Murders, a deep dive into Texas's most chilling unsolved crime. It's a real page-turner. Thanks for joining us on this chilling journey into the heart of darkness.